You know the way I wanted to start this podcast, Xan?
Screaming?
No. It was actually, now I can't even do it because I was going to do it out of nowhere. I wanted to sing 22 by Taylor Swift because it's podcast episode number 22, man.
The thing is, though, you would do that, and then it would just be me sitting here silently. Like, because you'd be making the reference, and I would be like, no idea what that is.
Does that sound familiar to you?
Not even vaguely.
See, you're not wow. Sometimes I'm not cultured. You not knowing Taylor Swift 22 is not cultured,
Hey,
Xan.
I'm just not a Taylor Swift fan.
And that's a typical Xan move. I do say so myself. But welcome back, viewers. The Esports Rewind podcast. We keep on cranking them out as per usual, pre-recorded on Thursdays. I'm pretty goddamn tired, Xan. How are you feeling?
Yo, yeah. I mean, I think we're all tired. It's been an insane week for esports news.
Yeah.
In a way that once again, we're at that point where esports news is kind of broken out into the real world to a certain extent.
It's almost like traditional news, man. It's like every day is a news day.
Yeah.
Something big happens, but that's good for us, huh?
Yeah, I mean, hey, we always got stuff to talk about.
And we got plenty of stuff to talk about today's podcast. So we hope you guys all do enjoy. Let's get right into it. So, usually, Xan, it's you talking about Tencent, but I think today I'm going to give it my little run. Not anything like in particular, but we've obviously heard a lot from Tencent over the past, however long, different stories here and there. We'll talk about probably some other Tencent stories later on in the podcast. I wanted to start this one off, though. We kind of just going over a quick list with you of every game that Tencent has its hands in, or every project we know of currently that Tencent has ownership in.
So this is going to be like a 40-minute long list,
no,
right? Like we're going to be
the list is the longest part. I don't even think we need to talk too much in depth about all of these besides a few of them, but just wanted to give people kind of a context of Tencent. Whenever we talk about them, we're like, oh my gosh, they're so scary. Right. This is just a few of the companies. I think they have other projects, right, that don't need to be listed. These are just their investments.
Yeah.
Out there. So a list as well. If you guys just want to Google who Tencent owns, it probably will come up to all of you. The first and foremost, Riot Games. They own 100% of Riot Games.
Which is always insane to think about, that Riot was 100% owned.
Like, Riot is 100%
Tencent.
Not Riot.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. And then we'll definitely talk about this in another story coming up here pretty soon. It's pretty crazy to see how influential, if you get bought out, how much your decisions are not your own anymore. Even if it's not just Riot 100%, but other percentages too. Tencent's been dipping their hands, and they've also been dipping decisions in all of these tiny little ownerships they have.
I would be fascinated to learn what the benefit of the League of Legends partnership with Tencent is.
Yeah.
Because the league was doing fine beforehand, so it's not like they really needed the investor capital or anything.
And I believe the original amount was actually $400 million. You got to imagine it's probably worth a bit more than that nowadays.
Yeah.
So, and all of these I'm going to list off very quickly here as well. They've made just not even presumptuous is the right word. A lot of sums of money out there they've made from these investments.
These might be the smartest business people in the world, honestly.
They're gods of esports. They're gods of gaming. They know what to dip their fingers in. They know what to buy.
That's only even in the gaming sphere. If you ever look outside of gaming, everything they have money in and everything they've made money on, it's almost like if Tencent is willing to invest in you or buy you, maybe you shouldn't be selling because they know what you could be. But then again, how do you reject a Tencent investment? Right.
So anyway, continuing very quick. Epic Games, 40%, $330 million that investment. By the way, last year alone, Fortnite made $2.4 billion. So Tencent, the guy who made that deal, paying for the kids in the fam.
He got promoted real quick.
Oh my gosh. Blue Hole, which is PUBG, 11.5%. PUBG Mobile also making hundreds of millions of dollars. Ubisoft, 5%. We got on top of that as well, Activision Blizzard, 5%. We'll talk about them in a bit. That 5% is actually very influential. The list goes on. Grinding Gear Games, that's a Path of Exile.
Right.
80% of them. Other investments worth noting are Supercell. So that's not Clash of Clans, I believe. Supercell.
Right,
gigantic in the app space. They own 84% of them. Frontier Developments, Kakao, probably mispronounced that. Sorry, Xan.
No, that's actually pretty close.
Let's go. Paradox and Fat Shark, amongst others as well. Funcom, Shark Mob, Discord, Reddit. Like, I don't even know how to react to this point, bro. Like,
honestly, I'm glad we're only looking at that list, because if you go to like ask the movie industry what Tencent is doing,
it's so scary,
and you're just like.
And people don't before you told me a lot of this stuff, I didn't realize it. Before we started covering all these stories, you really have no knowledge of it. Just Discord and Reddit alone makes you scared about what they're maybe pushing on those sites and on those forums of what they want public and what they don't want. we have all these conspiracies about, Epic Games and all these devs out there downvoting on Reddit. Who's to say that it's not freaking the kings of Tencent behind it all?
I mean, if anybody knows how to stay quiet, keep their heads down, and just do what they need to do, it's Tencent. Tencent's been around since the 1900s. And most people have not heard of them up until like maybe this year.
And those are just gaming. You said movie industry.
Yeah.
We talked about last podcast, AI.
Music. They have, their catalog is, think about how scary Apple is, right?
Yeah.
And then just make it like Apple, but they do everything but the phone.
Yeah.
And they also kind of do phones.
Yeah. So, and just like, it's so crazy. And so I wanted to just briefly have a segment about that. Obviously, we could have individual videos about that in the future. But we just want to reiterate to all of you guys, we always say Tencent is king when it comes to gaming, but it's because they expand so much elsewhere.
Oh, you know what? Technically speaking, they are actually king of gaming. They are the number one. They're the biggest video game company in the world.
Which makes perfect sense.
With all of their holdings. Yeah, I looked that
So
up.
it's just like, it's weird to see, like, everyone talks about, Valve, Activision Blizzard, Riot, but everything is owned by Tencent.
Yeah, right.
And so
everybody's like starting these wars between companies, and it's like, it's all just one company making all of the money.
It's like,
what is it? What is the point?
If esports or gaming's in a simulation, that simulation is being ran by Tencent. So we'll move on to your story, but either way, they continue to scare me every single day, and that's Tencent.
All right, Jake, I'm going to talk about something real quick that I feel like is a generally known fact in esports, but doesn't really get talked about in depth that often. And I'm not saying we're going to go too deep into it here.
No,
but
we're not too deep of guys.
Yeah, we're pretty surface level.
We can touch lightly on it. What is it?
Yeah, so the FGC is broke as heck.
No. No.
We don't make any money.
Wait. That is the definition of what people probably know but don't need to talk about, because it's the FGC.
Yeah, exactly, right? I feel like everybody knows, but you don't really get into the numbers that often to see how shocking it
FGC,
can be.
Fighting game community.
Yes.
Where Xan was born and bred. Why are you guys broke?
I mean, we can get into why. I'll tie back in the why at the end. I just want to take a look at some general numbers. Okay. So, have you ever heard of Zero? He's part of TSM.
I think I've only heard of him because of TSM. Yeah, I follow their announcements.
That's fair. Yeah. So anyway, dude had this insane run of 56 tournaments, majors and super majors, and like other like assorted tournaments, undefeated. First place, every single one in Super Smash Brothers, right?
When was this run? Was it?
I want to say it's 2018.
Okay, I was going to say, we probably should have covered it if we had heard about it. Okay,
no,
2017, 2018-ish?
Yeah.
It's a pretty immaculate run.
How much money do you think he made?
See, let's have some fun with it really quick, okay? All right. Let's just go to my base. If it was CSGO, 55 tournaments. 56 tournaments. Let's take a very, very base level. Let's say first place prize for... You said majors. These are big events.
Majors, super majors, and like a couple small ones in there.
So let's just take,
but mostly like sizable events.
All right, I'll go reasonable. Let's say 250K prize pool events, which means first place probably around $100,000. So 56, so $5.6 million. My guess.
He made around $45,000.
This man's wins 56 events in a row.
Dominates. He owns the scene.
And how long was it? Does this take an entire year, or does this take multiple years?
over the course of like a year, or
probably,
like maybe like a little bit of change.
Probably
like,
over a year, right?
Maybe a year and a half tops. Yeah.
This dude wins everything possible he can in the FGC, and he makes less than probably most.
Oh yeah, there was one article from him, because he's always been super open about talking about this. I think it was in 2018. He said it would be, technically speaking, more profitable if he'd worked full-time as a McDonald's employee.
Yep, that sounds about right. Yeah, you work your 50 hours a week, full-time at Mickey D's, you're probably making right around that.
Yeah.
And dude, and imagine if he had just placed second at every event.
Right?
The fall-off's probably drastic.
It's
probably below
ridiculous.
Minimum wage.
Yeah, honestly.
Right above to...
If we look at EVO, which for those who are into fighting games, EVO is essentially the Super Bowl of like fighting game tournaments. Mm-hmm. First place this year won $21,000 for Smash. Second place won $7,000. So that drop off is intense.
Yes.
That's like, it's a little sharp.
That is insane to me. Like, it actually blows my mind. Especially when you look at like Fortnite events. You got Booga win one event making $3 million. This dude wins 56 events in his esport.
Yeah.
That disparity is just like
You want another one? You want another like crazy one?
Give me it, dude.
Okay, so you've heard of Sonic Fox, obviously.
Yes, I've heard Sonic
right?
Fox.
Sonic Fox might be one of the most dominant fighting game players ever seen.
Widely known name.
Yeah. So he in 106 tournaments since 2014 that are on record, right? Out of those, he took first place at 56, second at 36.
Wow, he actually is. Wow.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, and it's in different games too. Like
these guys know their sticks.
He's got a roster. So like 92 out of 106 tournaments.
Placing top 2 at least.
Top 2 minimum, right? First in most of them, right? And out of all that, he's only made like a little bit over 600K.
To be fair though, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Especially in the fighting game community.
Yeah.
But when you put it into perspective of over 100 events.
Yeah.
And he's dominating.
He's a killer.
And he's probably the top earner.
He is the top
FGC
earner.
history.
Top earner in history. And over half of that money comes from just Mortal Kombat games because NetherRealms actually puts money into their tournaments.
And I think it'd be incredible to compare that because how many years was that run?
Since 2014.
Okay, so 4 or 5 years. We've had probably, I'm very curious, you said 600K in earnings. We've probably had a good handful of Fortnite kids surpass that amount in the first year.
Oh, yeah. When I was going through the list of like esports earners, it was like all Dota, of course, in the top 100. Tons of Dota, a couple StarCrafts. Then Bugga, and then it was just
Bugga,
like then it was just like Fortnite people.
That which also I'm not even getting into freaking name spellings, dude. It's spelled Bugga, but apparently it's Bugga. So I would. And I don't know why.
We could have an entire hour-long conversation about how nonsense esports names, branding,
how numbers begin to represent letters, like it's freaking math class all over again. Either way, though, the point came across, like. And you wonder why Echo Fox is going to die. FGC is not profitable.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Echo Fox they have the best fighting game players. I would say they have the best roster. They have all the good people. They have Mewtwo King. They have Sonic Fox. They got Tokido.
And I think impressions, a viewership is worth, bringing in some amount. But when it comes to actually being a player in FGC, we've seen it time and time again. You've obviously had your 2 examples. We've heard of Hungrybox as well being just so dominant. That dude was working a second job for the first so many years of his career
honestly,
until recently.
He just quit his other job.
I think it was like maybe 2 years ago. Maybe. He's like, I could finally quit my job.
Oh, no. I think that might have been this year.
I think it was last year because I think I saw a video about him actually, a documentary.
I saw a documentary about him last year about how he was doing more tournament stuff.
It was recently.
I remember seeing a picture of him because I wasn't on the team when he quit his other job. I remember. It was this year he quit his other job to full-time.
Let's close it on this, dude.
Yeah.
Hungrybox, one of a notorious name in fighting games. Yeah. It took him however many years till recently to quit his job. Fortnite, within its first year and a half, kids are quitting high school.
They're set for life.
Kids are quitting schooling. Screw jobs.
Yeah,
it's incredible to see the disparity, and hopefully something comes along to actually hype that up a bit.
I think what our current predictions are from talking to other fighting game people, we think the next 5 years.
I think it will. I think it will see a huge influx. We've talked about, again, I want to close this out. We talked about this very early on in this podcast, how that FGC is doing it so smart because they're not overinflating their prize pools like everyone else. And so I think over time they will see the most consistent rise.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, hopefully.
Please give us money.
Xanifer, always curious about your opinions on these gigantic topics out there.
All right, let's hear it. Which one are we diving into today?
I know you love hating on developers, and so
yeah, I kind of do, but I hate that I have to.
Fair play. There are a lot of crappy moves made by big boy devs out there. This one of the biggest ones we've seen, I think, ever. And you already know it's going to be the what's the word for when you repeat the starting letter of every word, like. Blizzard backlash over banning Blitzchung.
I know what you're talking about.
We're gonna be made fun of for that.
Yeah, right. They're gonna look at me like my mom was an English professor. I should know this.
I shouldn't have put this on you, man. But hey, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
This is
alliteration. I think
you're.
Hey.
Fact check it. This is one of the biggest stories I think we've ever seen. I've seen countless videos about this, just about every channel now commenting on this. When we first covered it, we didn't know how big it would be. I did not expect this. So people have understood. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Blitzchung, Hearthstone Pro, I always tongue twister, banned for a year, Grandmaster earnings taken away. The casters alongside him have also been fired. On live broadcast for about 30 seconds, his overall message was to liberate Hong Kong. You are much more of a political guy than I am. We will not dive into it.
Yep, definitely going to avoid that. Tencent, we love you.
Yeah, we're not trying to say that Blizzard was necessarily entirely wrong here, but certainly a very controversial choice. I've already talked about this myself on exactly why they made the choice, because obviously distribution in China pays a large source of their overall income.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this, Xan? And I want your genuine thoughts. I'm going to put you in Blizzard boots.
Okay.
You are the man making the choices. You have one of your games, that being Hearthstone, one of your pro players speaks out, live broadcast, obviously controversial because you are distributed in China. China kind of runs with Tencent. Tencent has money in your company. The voice that your pro player made is against what Tencent and probably China would want to be heard.
Oh, obviously, very much.
What do you do?
Okay, so
after seeing that broadcast, what the heck do you do?
Blizzard is obviously in a tough spot. I'm sure you've covered this in your video. They can't just say like, "Oh, we're not going to do anything." Even if they weren't connected to China at all, they probably would still have to punish them, because you can't just have people coming on your broadcast service and throwing political messages out there. You can't like allow that without any kind of repercussion, right? So, in their shoes, I probably would have said like, "Hey, maybe I don't know how the Hearthstone Grandmasters season works, but if it's like a weekly thing, I would say maybe ban him for a month, suspend him for a month, and maybe take his prize earnings from that one single event, and don't just take them and say, oh, the money is back with us. Maybe donate them. Say like, hey, we're going to donate this to Chinese people in the United States, some kind of cause. I think that would be a nice middle ground for everybody, when you're not outwardly saying, hey, we support Hong Kong.
What about with the casters, the two casters they fired?
Leave them alone.
Leave them alone entirely?
Honestly, I think because I think the casters, that aspect of it is kind of what pushed it over the edge. Because this was
they were in collusion. They were working with him.
They did know what was being said. Yeah, but they didn't obviously they didn't actually say it, and it's not like they were pushing him to say it. That is his choice, and I think it's more than fair that they chose to honor that, especially with the situation over there.
See, I wanted your answer because that is how you would think that an upper management person, someone making the choices, that is how you would think they would think these things through.
Right, I would hope so.
Within such a small amount of time, we had heard that Blitzchung was going to be banned for a year. You recommend a month, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month or two.
Yeah, not for maybe maximum one season.
Yeah, his earnings taken away for the entire series, we do believe. You recommend, obviously not near as much as that.
Right.
The casters fired. They're gone. Not going to be working with Blizzard anymore. You say not do a thing. You would think there'd be that fine line that they would want to walk. Now, let's make this clear. Tencent or others could have had a hand and say, you need to punish them like this.
It's very possible.
But if that's not the case, you really wonder why they rushed the choice out there to do it. Like I think you said it earlier, just to me and you personally, they swung the hammer and they swung it so hard that now the entire world has heard what you have done. And his message that you were trying to subdue has now been heard by millions.
Ballooned.
And he's already talked about this. Blitzchung, that being the player, has now said, I don't regret a thing. I do it all over again, even with this ban. His message has now been heard loud and clear, and so much more than what you were trying to do. And so I really am genuinely curious if Blizzard could go back in time, what they would do now, what they would change, if they would.
Honestly, maybe they don't change anything, because I know
that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, because I
think they really chose this knowing full well it could be bad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, I think the situation. If they could choose to go back in time after BlizzCon this year, I think they might reverse their decision, because BlizzCon is going to be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, this is just such bad timing.
Yeah, honestly. But I think their main concern, I'm sure, is getting Call of Duty Mobile approved in China.
Yes, that's going to be a money maker.
Yeah, because I mean, it's already made. I think the last final count was 17.7 million.
Yeah,
in 7 days.
Yeah,
and it's not even available in China yet.
which is insane.
Yeah.
And that's a keynote here to wrap this one up, because I think they were really put in a hard spot. That's pretty clear. It's really easy for us to kind of give them backlash for that, as many people have.
Which is, I think it's well deserved, honestly.
It is deserved. What they've done is wrong.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to understand where their decision did come from. When it comes to distribution in China, we've talked about this. Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Call of Duty Mobile, they're still seeking approval for, like you said, in China. Not been approved yet in China, which, by the way, PUBG operates in 400 plus million users, countless revenue. I think they've made this choice knowing full well it could be a bad choice, backlash-wise, community-wise. Right. When it comes to revenue, when it comes to paying the bills, dare I say they probably made the right choice? Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say they made close to the right choice. I think there is a line.
If there was a right choice.
Yeah, if there was a right choice.
Financially,
I think
the right choice.
I think there's a line that could have been walked where they could have reached out to the Chinese government or whoever and said, like, hey, we definitely condemn whatever was said. They could say this behind closed doors, right? There's no need for a public statement to that effect. They could say, hey, we don't love the fact that what was said. We can't do a whole lot because then that will tank everything that we do as a company. So let's, give him a slap on the wrist. Maybe you say he doesn't get interviews anymore, even if he wins. Yeah. Maybe just say, hey, yeah, I'd be down with that.
It's just so hard to know what would have happened or what could have happened. So I think at the end of the day, they made this choice, and we're going to find out. I imagine it'll be a while before we know, but after BlizzCon, after all this clears up, we're going to find out if their choice was worth it, and if Call of Duty Mobile to them was definitely worth this crazy.
Watch it not even get approved.
Another video coming soon if that's the case.
Right? All right. So we're going to talk about esports doing good for the world. Let's be positive.
I love positive
for 5 minutes.
Not pessimistic for once.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I know you hit me with in the future.
Yeah, so I could. All this could have a heavy asterisk and be like, this is why I also hate all of this.
Yeah, but we're gonna keep it positive.
Yeah, we're gonna be happy for a second. So anyway, the rally major just happened for Rainbow Six Siege.
Ah, you're talking 6.
Yeah,
Whoa,
I'm talking
dude.
6, and I wish I could talk. I'm not. Let me not.
Yeah, let's. Yeah. What are you even ranting? What are you gonna rant about?
See, I'll give a preview of a future rant, which I'm sure will come. Rainbow Six Siege is such a phenomenal game.
Oh, I know.
But Ubisoft is they just cannot. Why? Why does a game have like 5 different SKUs? There's no reason. Why does it only give you certain aspects of the season pass and split up?
Are you talking about all the monetization and all that stuff?
It's all a nightmare.
Dude, you should actually plan that for next podcast. We'll talk about Rainbow Six Siege and why you hate it so much, because it has such high potential, but they just want to cash out every freaking chance.
Why can people not just
positive news today?
Why can't people just make good games?
You think it'd be more simple, man?
Yeah. Oh, anyway, positive news. Yeah. So according to Rally's tourism board, Rally in North Carolina, where the Rally major was held. Anyway, the Rally major itself generated $1.445 million.
44.5?
1.45. I wrote it weird in my notes.
$45 million?
No.
Sorry, I had to jump on that.
No,
sorry,
you're fine. You're fine.
I hope you do the same to me. Anyway, so they had a major. I don't follow R6, but it generated $1.45 million
for the city. Not money made.
What the frick?
Not money made at the event. Not money made for the event. But for the city in general.
You're gonna tell me how, right?
I mean, they don't really give a lot of details, and tourism boards rarely do.
What
but
the heck?
It works something along the lines of like, say, okay, you've got. So there are 2,800 attendees at the event. Those 2,800 people have to eat somewhere, so they're going to eat places in town. They got to get cars. They got to get a car in town.
Sorry, but you tell me 2,800 people generate 1.45. What 2,800? Is this 2,800 kings and queens coming over to spend bank?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not a direct comparison. We're not going like, oh, out of these 2,800 people, each of them spent like hundreds of dollars.
I know.
But like, all the traffic that the event brings specifically, And I feel like this is probably part of the reason why tourism boards don't release like super granular. Oh, this is how we calculate.
I wish they would though, because that's a really drastic number for an R6 event.
I'd be super curious to see how the breakdown actually works out. But I mean, and who knows?
If we find it out,
I'll definitely keep an eye out.
That is something, because the first thing I think of when you say that is, okay, franchise league model, city-based model. If you have city-based matches and you get a few hundred people to show up, you're generating, according to the math, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, which is why I'm sure like the franchise model is going to be great for cities.
You know,
for
because
cities,
people
sure.
gotta eat, Xan.
Yeah,
people gotta drink and stay in hotels, but
who knows if it'll be good for the esport? But the cities, yeah,
they can cash out really quick for however long it lasts. That's actually insane to me, because now it does also make me wonder how does CSGO events, because we have CSGO events, we have giant Overwatch events, League of Legends Worlds. Those are bringing in tens of thousands of people.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And so all of a sudden we're seeing cities capitalize, which I don't think cities are actually putting money into esports. So hello, are they just cashing out?
A couple are. I mean, actually, this one specifically says that they're according to their executive VP of Greater Raleigh Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is, I'm assuming, is just their convention center, overall regulatory group.
Yeah.
Their motto is play, watch, make, which means that the Greater Raleigh community not only plays and watches esports, and they said esports specifically, but we also make and design the software and technologies that help power the global esports industry.
Don't know what that means.
It means that they're at least the city.
But the fact that Raleigh, North Carolina, of all places out there, can generate 1.45 million.
Yeah, I thought
for
it was
esports event.
Yeah, I thought it was odd that it was North Carolina of all places that was generating all this money. But then, not to throw too much shade at North Carolina, but I mean it's North Carolina.
It's like me saying Des Moines, Iowa. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, right.
I'd take that back. I'd take that.
But then you think for a second, and I went and looked this up. There are a lot of huge game publishers in Raleigh.
Really?
Epic Games is in Raleigh.
No, are you talking about they have offices there, or are they based out of Raleigh?
Oh, they have offices. I don't think they're based there.
But either way, having offices
is based there.
Interesting.
Funcom is over there.
Funcom, Tencent. Tencent has a hand in Funcom. I recognize the name. That's really cool though, because it makes you hopeful that. I am very interested to see if it kind of compares to a franchise model. Obviously, R6 is not franchise model, but when you locate now in these cities for events, how are cities going to be intertwined? Will cities be forced to give part of those profits back to the organizer? Because TOs are suffering. TOs are not making money.
Yeah,
it kind of becomes a.
I would imagine that's got to factor into the franchise league costs to some extent.
You'd hope so.
Like, I would think that, okay, because I'm pretty sure the way it works for standard sports, and I'm not a sports person, so don't quote me.
Either am I.
I might as well be talking about Quidditch for all I know.
Yeah.
Right. But in the Quidditch franchise league,
I just go
yeah. But anyway, no, I think cities actually have to bid for teams.
I
think they bid for teams because the teams bring. No, okay. I live in Vegas. I should know this. We got the Raiders here. The Raiders.
We did bid.
Yeah, we did. We bid.
So NFL cities bid.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that crosses over to esports. You guys let us know.
Right, yeah.
But that is super interesting because it's widely known that TOs out there, let's say DreamHack, MLG, whatever it might be, E-League, they generally lose money.
Yeah, definitely.
So it would make a lot of sense if cities give back a portion of, food sales, hotel sales, whatever it might be, to TOs for a franchise league at least. That is super interesting, man. That's why I love when you bring these kind of stories. I know we sounded sounded so dumb throughout that entire story.
Anybody who is vaguely fond of sports is like, oh, these people.
Dude, we asked more questions during that story than we had answers.
Honestly, we should just go out to like the larger company at some point, because I'm not in our department, but there are other people here who literally their job is sports stuff.
Is to know that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're just like, how do sports work? God dang it. It's funny because when they ask about esports, we're like, wow, they sound so stupid. When we talk about sports, they're like, wow, they sound so stupid.
Yeah, but at least we own it.
Yeah,
we will always be like, hey, we don't know. I mean,
we're dumb, but that was a cool story.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to know esports are bringing money.
All right, Xan, I'm going to keep this one short.
All right, let's hit it.
It's all about drugs, baby.
Yeah, it's my favorite subject.
Yeah, dog. We just get. I shouldn't be saying anything.
Well, Jake, I just picked up my usual cauldron full of drugs the other day.
Yeah, we just got so many. That's how we're able to produce so many videos over here. Is caffeine. Caffeine is a drug. That's literally the only drug I ever do.
Yeah, you're not right.
So this is all about the first ever esports organization supposedly to be downfalled by the use of drugs.
And it's tragic. That's
Is it words?
No, it's like this is the fighting game org.
Oh, true. Literally what I heard from you was it's tragic. It's like drugs. Don't do them, folks.
No, this is like.
I know what you mean though.
This is so depressing.
This is Echo Fox, guys. We have talked about their downfall and their death for a few weeks here, probably even a few months. but they are known as the fighting game org, especially after they sold their LCS spot for League of Legends. They house some of the best fighting game players in the esports or in the community.
I'd say arguably some of the best in the world. Yeah.
And yes, latest accusations out there. We'll keep it brief. We've touched on this so many times in the past. Now we have Rick Fox, former investor, now alleging other former investors. That's going to be Amit Raizada, Stratton Sklavos. Apparently, he says some brash allegations. I have many videos about this. You guys can check them out. I'll sum it up here very quickly. He pretty much says these other investors that he got involved with, Rick Fox got involved with, these two other guys, he says they were friends because of their drug-fueled lifestyle. That drug-fueled lifestyle continued inside Echo Fox. Those two guys, alongside Jace Hall and Rick Fox, Amit Raizada, and Stratton Sklavos, they got together. They formed this investment group called Vision Venture Partners. They helped raise over $11 million for Echo Fox. One of those partners also apparently took out $2 million from Echo Fox to help pay for their drug use and their drug-fueled parties.
Yeah, and allegedly.
These are all allegations.
Yeah, just to sprinkle it in there on occasion,
Keep me safe. These are all allegations by Rick Fox. Even further than that, he alleges as well because of their drug use, they were actually financially manipulating the Echo Fox organization, making tens of millions of dollars around all of this. And all I'm left thinking is, what the heck has esports come to?
It was always going to happen, and it probably is happening more than we ever hear about.
Probably.
Because there is no regulation. And all the people who want to regulate are problematic people.
It's just, and I feel like my first thought when I heard this story was, were you never background checking the investors? And I instantly think, of course you're not, because you're an esports organization. Right. You're at the height of investment periods. And of course you're going to take free money from whoever brings it to you.
Right.
If some rich dude comes in and says, hey, I got a couple $1 million, you're not going to go, oh, but do you do drugs? No, you're going to take the money because, hey, it helps out your esports org.
They might just ignore the drugs. They might just be like, well, I mean.
Yeah, I like to give benefit of the doubt, and they probably just didn't know about it or ask about it because, you figure it's a rich guy. He knows what he's doing. And the rich guy is also like, okay, it's esports. It's going to take off. I'm going to put some money into it. It's negligence on both sides. Let's be honest. Yeah. We have seen so much money come into esports where we're like, who are you? You're a traditional sports guy. Why are you investing? We've talked several times about how Call of Duty franchising is the stupidest looking investment, but people still dump money into it.
Yeah, I think it just looks stupid from esports people's perspective because we know Call of Duty and all these other people. Because if you just look at the viewership numbers, it might look nice on paper.
Yeah, true.
And then we all know it's not. But
Fair enough. We could be so wrong. It could be the next big frame. It could be a long-term investment that does pay off, but short-term wise, it does look stupid. And you have these traditional sports guys who come from NFL, who come from NBA. They come from these franchise sports leagues, which pay like football over in Europe, or as we call it, soccer here. It pays off huge dividends.
Yeah.
But I think just more so, it's been a giant negligent period on both party sides, and Echo Fox, unfortunately enough, were the ones who took money from just some bad investors.
Yeah, that's what it definitely sounds like, and I mean it's a shame that it had to happen to Echo Fox of all orgs, and hopefully it doesn't happen to too many more in the future.
Dare I say it's almost a blessing in disguise that it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that just as a warning.
It's a forewarning for every other organization to face check all of their investors, to background check, to really look them in the eyes and say, who are you? Do we actually need your money? Do we want your money? And hopefully this does only spell good things for the future of organizations. Will it be the last time?
Real quick, I just want to say that this you just reminded me of this. This is part of what I found so actually impressive about Nadeshot turning down whatever player that was.
We don't know, and we don't know what player.
We don't know what player, but I mean, how many orgs can you genuinely point to and say this is an org that would turn down somebody because they might be problematic?
Especially given how popular the player could have been, and how much of maybe a steal it could have been.
How much money they could have made off that person in the future.
It's probably all those deals, all those investments not taken, all those players not signed that we may never hear about. The small genius moves that we'll never hear about. Yeah. We can only hope, though, again, this sets precedence, and that, will this be the last time that an Echo Fox situation happens? We can only hope. I don't think it will be.
Definitely not.
I mean, Denial was not the only one not paying players. There were countless orgs.
I mean, NIP might be headed that way sooner rather than later, unfortunately.
Will Echo Fox be the only organization downfalled by drugs or bad investors? Probably not, but they're certainly going to be the first one we talk about in this large of a scale. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully other organizations are just watching from the outside and they're learning to avoid it.
Jake, are you ready for some more Tencent talk?
Yes, dude.
Honestly, we should just have a segment at the end of every episode. It's just like, let's talk about Tencent. What do we have to say about Tencent this week?
Is there a better way to end a podcast than Tencent again?
Who knows?
Tencent part 2.
Yeah.
Podcast number 22.
Yeah.
It works out nicely.
Hey, this is how we show that we're very intrigued by you, Tencent, and we are definitely not worried or concerned about your influence whatsoever.
They don't scare me anymore, man.
Yeah.
If anything, hey, come on over, Tencent. We'll take some investments.
Well, anyway, this story is coming from Neo Liu, who is in charge of Tencent Games' North American publishing team.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I mean,
sounds official.
Who knows what his actual job day-to-day responsibilities are, but anyway, this was an interview in which he talked a lot about PUBG and PUBG Mobile.
Ooh, okay.
Revealed some very interesting things, I think, about how Tencent approaches game development and esports as a community.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the first things that stood out to me is that he said that we don't think we're advocating users to be more hardcore. And at the end of the day, I'm going to paraphrase here just to shorten this a little bit. He says, we don't want it to feel necessary for players to play like multiple hours per day and grind super hard to get to the level where they can consider themselves like maybe in the realm of an esports player. Like obviously they want esports pros to be at the top of the pyramid, but they talk about making more opportunities for those people maybe at the bottom or the middle. Like, for example, apparently they've got like, obviously they have the large events like the PUBG Open, Star Challenge, stuff like that. But apparently they're making a lot of efforts to run more local amateur tournaments.
Okay, interesting.
In North America, like even if it's not for money, they said, one of the things they want to do more is just like, hey, make esports more open and approachable for everyone.
Is this both mobile and just PC?
Both mobile and PC.
Okay.
Yeah. But mobile more specifically because they're actually in charge of mobile.
I'm just trying to picture an amateur mobile tournament.
Yeah, I know. It would be super weird just walking into a GameWorks just seeing like 50
Do you get a chair and a desk and you just kind of hunch over and do your thing? Or?
Maybe just say, hey, go do your thing.
It would look so
go
weird.
In the corner over there.
God.
Yeah. But anyway, another thing that I found really fascinating here is that apparently Tencent and the Chinese government aren't always on the same page. Like in a really interesting way, because I think a lot of people kind of are aware of the fact that Tencent and the Chinese government are very closely intertwined. They work very closely together. You can't be a company as big as Tencent without having approval from the Chinese government. That's just not how China works, right? PUBG Mobile isn't allowed in China. Not in its full release anyway. It's technically not officially released in China.
What?
Yeah. I had no idea. They run events in China and everything. The Chinese government has not approved PUBG Mobile to be released in China.
Wait. How do they have 400 million players then? Are people playing it still?
It's in beta, and that's how they get around it. Oh. People can still play it in the beta state.
So people are still playing in China.
Yeah.
But the actual full release game for mobile?
They cannot actually fully release the game because they have not been given approval.
Wait, so do that. They're not that. I know this is kind of off topic. It firstly makes me think, how the heck is Call of Duty Mobile going to be approved?
Exactly, right? That's what I'm thinking. And
because Call of Duty Mobile was already released, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's already released everywhere but China, Vietnam, and Belgium.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Wait.
So there's actually a possibility Call of Duty Mobile doesn't get approved.
And that Blizzard made the wrong choice probably then. Wow.
There's this other thing I didn't know. Apparently, the lack of approval for PUBG Mobile was so serious, Tencent, they made an entirely separate game that's essentially a PUBG Mobile reskin. It's called Peacekeeper, and that's released in China.
Okay, you're going to start really throwing me off now.
Yeah. And Peacekeeper has hit around 50 million daily users, and apparently it made like 14 million from the App Store.
How do all these mobile games just take off so fast?
$14 million in a week only in China. That's the only place it was available.
I don't understand.
And with peacekeepers, in order to make peacekeepers okay for the Chinese government, they had to cut out a lot. Apparently, this guy Niu Liu says it's more or less the same game from a gameplay perspective, but there's like a lot of changes that like stuff like if you die, instead of falling down and your body disappearing, like for a period of time, the opponent character would wave and disappear.
What the heck? I guess they are very, very restrictive on their censorship of what can actually be allowed in games, like crossbones, skulls, skeletons, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and now the character just disappears in a puff of smoke.
That is very interesting.
Also, there's not one top winner at all. It's a top...
In Peacekeeper?
In Peacekeepers. It's the top 5 players. They get a notification that shows up that says, hey, you won. You can keep playing if you want to, but you won.
What the heck is going on in this world?
Yeah, right. And they have to make so many changes to make what is essentially PUBG Mobile okay for China.
So PUBG Mobile in China is only in beta.
Yeah.
So people can still play the beta and they count towards the overall viewership numbers.
Yeah, to my understanding.
So Call of Duty Mobile is not approved in China, but they're still playing it in China.
I don't think they are, because the beta wasn't available everywhere, and I couldn't find a hard
That's the thing. It's really hard to find out where these things are actually available and what's being played, if it's actually the full release or the beta. So I didn't know this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be even more applicable like by the end of the year, because on December 1st, there's this thing happening in China where in order to get internet access and in order to get a phone number, you're going to have to scan your face.
Oh, they have that that economic lifestyle, you're scored, right?
Oh yeah, the social credit score.
Yeah.
This is entirely separate from that.
You have to actually officially register.
You have to with your face. You've got to register.
Is this to crack down more on cheaters and stuff too? So you're going to be actually going after if you actually cheat in these games now? Your reputation's on the line?
This isn't even so much like a game thing. It's just like a general life thing. Because it's not like just internet access for games. It's not like PlayStation Plus.
Just internet access in general.
It's internet access, period.
You got
to get a new phone number, period. And I mean, theoretically, it's supposed to combat fraud. I mean, who knows if that will actually work? China doesn't really care about fraud.
Wicked things over there.
Yeah. But I mean, think about that. PUBG Mobile didn't get approved. Made by Tencent.
That I just feel like there needs to be more fact checking. I can't believe that, because especially for Call of Duty Mobile is such a big decision over there. Well, I'm very curious what's going to be released then for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd love to hear more from this Niu Liu guy. I'd love to hear more of what he has to say about what he thinks. He didn't say whether or not he thought PUBG Mobile would ever actually get approved. Maybe it never gets approved.
It's just so shocking. Mobile market is so huge, and we know so little.
Yeah.
These numbers are taking off, and we just don't know where from, and half of it's not even approved anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, and this guy, I mean, I do appreciate, he seems to know what he's talking about. He was like, yeah, our biggest problem has been the fact that mobile games were so nothing for so long. Anybody who remembers when when iPhones and stuff first started showing up, everybody remembers mobile games used to be garbage, utter trash, and now they're pretty good. Now they're actual games, and I mean, Tencent seems to be pushing that ideal and making good money off of it. But who knows where we'll be in the future?
We'll see if China falls on base. More coming soon, hopefully in mobile news.
Honestly, we will definitely keep you guys updated on what happens with this, because I'll be keeping an eye on it.
For sure. A lot rides on it.
Yeah.
All right. Pods number 22. Okay. Outros are not my thing.
That was
today.
A sentence.
So thank you guys all for watching. As per usual, recap of Esports Rewind podcast here of all the breaking, crazy news. A crazy week, Xan. You got something to tell the viewers?
Yeah, I got our standard weekly housekeeping, let everybody know where to find us and everything. So, hey, guys, hello. Nice to meet you all. If you want to talk to us, listen to us on the go, or not talk to us, I suppose. I mean, you could talk to us while we're talking.
You could talk to us.
Yeah, we're not going to take issue with that.
But
yeah, we may not respond because it is recorded, but, we will appreciate it. No, but if you want to listen to us on the go, you can find us on the Prediction Esports Talk Show Network. That's Prediction with 2 E's, PREEDICTION. We upload the podcast every week on Mondays. The video version goes live on our YouTube channel, Esports Talk, every Tuesday. And if you'd love more esports news, updates, breakdowns, you can always check us out at esportstalk.com. If you got a story to share with us, hit us up on Twitter.
Yes. DM us on Twitter.
Yeah.
we like to check our Twitter DMs for potential stories out there, but it's been pretty crazy. Luckily enough, over the past week or two, we've had so many stories that we're going to keep uncovering here at Esports Talk. But as per usual, thank you all for stopping by the Esports Rewind podcast, the top 5 esports podcast out there currently. And we hope you guys come back next week. Until then, take care of yourselves, guys, and we'll see you soon.